Why looking poor is important to attract money. These days, I drive a used Ford F-150 pickup. It's roomy enough for the family, tough and reliable. It gets the job done. Meanwhile, my old buddy Mark always shows up in something flashy. One day it's the brand new Tesla Cybertruck, the next is a Porsche 911. He's constantly upgrading to the newest, most expensive thing, always needing to show he's on top. Just a few years ago, I was still behind the wheel of a beat-up old sedan, focused on investing and building my emergency fund. Mark, on the other hand, was living large. He bought $1 million home in the Hamptons, threw celebrity-studded parties, and traveled to Europe at least twice a year. He looked like the ultimate version of the American dream. But then, everything changed. Early last year, a few of Mark's big investments crashed, and his main source of income was suddenly gone. Within months, the phone calls started coming, banks, creditors, collection agencies. Soon enough, he had to sell the Porsche. Then the Hamptons house. The day I saw the debt collectors take away his gleaming Porsche, I felt this deep, heavy sadness. Why does this happen? Why do people who seem rich, who live big, end up broke so fast? In this video, I'm going to break down why looking poor can actually lead you to real wealth. And more importantly, why so many people today are stuck in quiet financial stress, drowning in debt, anxiety, and pressure to look successful. It all starts with something most of us avoid facing: the need to let go of our rich ego. Not being controlled by the rich ego, the gateway to true abundance. You know, when I look at Mark, it's clear that almost everything he did was driven by one thing: the rich ego. That little voice that whispers you need to own this, or you have to show off to feel successful, to feel like you're enough. It's a dangerous illusion, one that pushes people to build shiny lives on shaky foundations, fueled by debt, insecurity, and fear of being seen as less than. Financial history is filled with tragic examples of people who fell into this trap. Remember Mike Tyson, one of the greatest boxers of all time? He made over $400 million, but filed for bankruptcy in 2003. Or NBA legend Allen Iverson, who earned over $150 million and still faced serious financial collapse. Why? Because they let the rich ego run the show, spending recklessly to maintain an image of success. In the end, that ego devoured everything they had. When your ego is in charge and your worth is tied to material things, you're operating on a frequency of pride and insecurity, and that's a low vibration, one that pushes money away from you. There's no sweet fruit from a bitter seed. True wealth is a blessing from God, meant for those who are ready, grounded, and good-hearted, not for those who use it to boast, compete, or feed a prideful persona. So what's the solution? It's simple. Don't let your rich ego control you. Money is a loyal servant, but a terrible master. And let's be clear, this isn't about lowering your worth or living in lack. It's about freedom. The freedom from needing to prove yourself to anyone. It's the release from the endless rat race of keeping up with your friends or outshining the neighbors, a trap this world keeps feeding you every single day. When being rich or not rich stops feeling like a big deal, that's when you're truly free. And the frequency of freedom, it's magnetic. It draws even more financial blessings to you. Not out of desperation, but out of alignment. Just look at people who are truly wealthy. Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, billionaires known for living remarkably simple lives. They don't chase flash. Their humility allows them to focus on real value, make smart investments, and build massive wealth. They don't need to prove anything to anyone, because their value comes from within, from wisdom and real results, not from appearances. When your ego is in check, your financial decisions come from logic, clarity, and real needs, not from impulse or social pressure. And when that happens, it frees up a massive amount of mental energy. Energy you used to waste worrying about what others think. Now, that energy can be used to learn, grow, invest in yourself, and build real value in your life. Looking poor, or rather, Treating money as a tool, not a master, puts you back in control of your life. And once you're in control, no financial fear, no money shadow can ever haunt you again. Inner sufficiency. You don't need a lot to be truly wealthy. If the first key to real wealth is taming the ego, then the second key to why looking poor actually works is this: you don't need as much as you think to be truly rich. In today's American society, we've been trained to define wealth by numbers. How many millions are in your bank account? How many homes you own? How many luxury cars you drive? We believe these are the only measures of success and happiness. But here's the truth. There are countless people with money, power, and generational wealth, and yet they live in deep stress, dissatisfaction, and emotional poverty. I've met people with millions in the bank who still carry fear in their eyes, fear of losing it, fear of never reaching the next milestone. Some are miserable because they haven't hit that billion-dollar goal. The more they have, the more not enough seems to grow. It becomes a never-ending chase. And I'm not here to judge. Everyone has their own definition of success and wealth. But if you're running full speed without knowing where the finish line is, you're bound to get lost. So ask yourself clearly, what does wealth really mean to you? Is it a number, a house, a lifestyle, or is it the peace and contentment those things are supposed to bring? Why do people want to be rich in the first place? It's simple: to feel free and enjoy life. Why do people love to travel the world? For the joy of experiencing life. Why do people want to wear beautiful clothes, dine in fine restaurants, and own nice homes? Again, to feel the joy of living. True wealth isn't about having too much money. It's about feeling satisfied, grounded, and able to enjoy this life fully with a grateful heart. If you've ever struggled with health or physical challenges, you already know you don't need a fancy degree or a huge bank account. Just being whole and healthy can be life's greatest form of wealth. And if you have all the material success in the world, but your family is broken or your children are at war over money, then your wealth isn't really in the dollars. It's in peace, unity, and love at home. When you keep chasing a number out there just to feel enough, you're placing your sense of fulfillment in the hands of money. And if that's how you measure your worth, no matter how much you earn, you'll never feel truly satisfied or secure. There will always be a bigger number, a higher bar, and a louder voice telling you it's still not enough. So what does looking poor do for you? It helps you recognize abundance within simplicity. It's about discovering the wealth that already exists in this very moment. When you realize you already have enough here and now, your relationship with money transforms. You don't need millions in the bank to feel rich. Take a moment and look around. You already have so much. You have food on your plate, maybe even the freedom to choose what you want to eat. You have clothes to wear, more than just one set to survive. You have access to technology, to knowledge, to the world with just one tap. You have your health, a body that walks, breathes, moves, and allows you to enjoy life. You have air, abundant, free, and always available, something you never have to fight for or pay for. These are blessings that billions of people long for every single day. This is true wealth, and yet most of us overlook it completely. Think about someone like Mother Teresa. She didn't have millions of dollars, but she was one of the richest souls to ever walk this earth, full of compassion, peace, and purpose. Or consider Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel Prize-winning psychologist. His research shows that money only increases happiness up to a point. After that, real fulfillment comes from within. True wealth belongs to those who can see life through the eyes of gratitude, no matter what their circumstances look like. They recognize what they have, they honor it, and from that space of thankfulness, they invite even more good into their lives. Feeling rich is what attracts richness. If you can't cherish a single dollar, you're not yet ready to hold greater treasure. That's the spiritual test. And it starts with how you see what you already have. Spending wisely, the financial flow of true wisdom. Once you've quieted your ego and realize you don't need excess to be truly rich, the next key is how you use your money. It's about spending wisely, not letting desire outrun your needs. This might sound simple, but in today's hyper-consumer society, it's one of the most overlooked truths. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to buy more, want more, and compare more. So let's break it down. Needs are what you actually require to live and function. Food, safe shelter, basic clothing, reliable transportation to get to work, and essential utilities. Wants? That's everything else. The brand new luxury SUV, the expensive sneaker collection, that exotic vacation for the gram, or the latest gadgets you don't really need. When you constantly spend based on unchecked wants, especially those driven by comparison or pressure to keep up, you open up a massive leak in your financial flow. Money is energy, and when you spend recklessly, you're sending the signal that you don't value it. The result? Money won't stay with you. It disappears fast, creating debt, anxiety, and ongoing insecurity. It's like trying to fill a bucket that's full of holes. No matter how much you pour in, it's never enough. You look at some of the most financially successful people, they're often masters of intentional spending. Dave Ramsey, a well-known personal finance expert in the US, constantly teaches that debt is the enemy and urges people to live below their means. Millions trust his strict, no-fluff approach to managing money, which prioritizes needs above all. Then there's Susie Orman, another respected financial advisor who emphasizes building an emergency fund and paying off debt over flashy purchases. These people understand that real financial freedom doesn't come from how much you make. It comes from how wisely you spend. So how do you spend wisely? Start by making the habit of asking yourself one simple question. Is this a true need or just a momentary want triggered by an ad or comparison? Make that your second nature. When your spending aligns with your true needs, not with temporary desires, you'll find more room in your budget for real investments, emergency savings, and long-term goals. Looking poor, or simply living modestly and intentionally, is often just smart spending in disguise. And you're not falling into the traps of consumerism. You're not wasting energy trying to impress anyone. And because of that, money starts flowing back to you because now you've shown respect and wisdom in how you handle it. But that's the kind of money flow rooted in true wisdom, real relationships, priceless wealth that money can't buy. We've talked about taming the ego and spending wisely, but another kind of wealth that comes with looking poor is having real, meaningful relationships. In today's digital age, it's easier than ever to create a flashy image online. Many people believe that the more they show off what they have, the more connections they'll gain. But what's the truth? Relationships built on material things or social status are usually shallow and exhausting. You get stuck in the game of keeping up appearances, afraid of being judged for not measuring up. It's like trying to build a friendship bridge out of dollar bills. It falls apart with the first gust of wind. These types of relationships often lack depth and leave you feeling empty. They don't bring real value, and more often than not, they lead to disappointment, pressure, or even being used. But when you stop chasing the flashy stuff, when you stop showing off, and you let yourself look poor in the eyes of others, something powerful happens. You start attracting people who see you for who you are, not for your wallet or your status. It's like a natural filter. The ones who are only there for surface level reasons begin to fade, making room for authentic connections that are built on real value. Look at people who are not just successful, but deeply fulfilled. They don't focus on owning luxury items to impress others. Instead, they invest time and energy into building honest, trusting relationships. Connections built on loyalty, shared growth, and mutual respect. Take Bill Belichick, the legendary coach of the New England Patriots. He's led his team to 6 Super Bowl titles, not by being flashy, but by staying focused and grounded. He's known for being reserved, for cutting through noise and going straight to what matters. Belichick builds trust and connection with his players and staff based on discipline, respect, and a shared mission, not on surface-level charm or showmanship. Those solid, long-standing relationships are part of what made his team so powerful. Another great example is Adam Grant, a well-known organizational psychologist and self-help author. He didn't build a powerful network by flaunting wealth or status. He did it by being a giver, someone who shares ideas freely, connects people genuinely, and helps others without expecting anything in return. His story proves this. When you create real value for others, meaningful relationships will naturally find their way to you, and those connections become priceless assets. Harvard's long-term study on adult development, which spanned over 75 years, found that warm, trusting relationships are more important than money or fame when it comes to building a fulfilling life. These quality relationships, rooted in your authenticity, create a powerful support system. They open doors you never expected, not just emotionally, but even financially. When you live true to yourself and invest in sincere connections, you attract relationships that vibrate on a higher level. These are bonds built on honesty, trust, and love, the kind that nourish your soul and support your growth in every area, including your financial well-being. Real abundance, the kind that starts from within, never stands alone. It's always surrounded by deep, meaningful relationships, the kind where you can share joy, pain, and evolve together. Just remember, money can't buy real friendship. It can't buy true love or unconditional support. Those are the treasures you receive only when you live by your values and seek out genuine connection. Now, I want to share with you 2 timeless pieces of advice, principles that have stood the test of centuries to help you build real, lasting wealth. Lesson 1, no matter how tight things are, learn to give. Give first, reinvesting your flow. This is a powerful principle that many truly wealthy people live by. Always set aside 5 to 10% of your income to give before you spend a dime. You've probably heard the advice, save before you spend, but billionaires and top financial minds often take it a step further. They give first, then save, then spend. Sounds backwards, right? How can giving make you richer? But this isn't just about charity. This is a universal law, a spiritual law about flow, abundance, and the ripple effect of generosity. Everything you send out in thought, word, and action eventually comes back to you, often multiplied. It's like Newton's third law applied to life. Every action creates a reaction. When you give, even just a small portion, you're planting a financial seed, and that seed grows into something far greater. The mistake most people make is only trying to harvest, to store and accumulate without ever replanting. That's where stagnation begins. Many self-made millionaires in the US, like Chris Hogan, who interviewed hundreds of millionaires for his best-selling book, say that giving is a core part of their financial philosophy. And they didn't wait until they were wealthy to start giving. They began while they were still building their careers. Why? Because giving shifts your mindset into abundance and opens doors you never expected. The Bible teaches this principle clearly. Generosity leads to prosperity. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Proverbs 11:25. And even more powerfully, give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Luke 6:38. Giving isn't just a gesture of faith, it's a spiritual law, a universal promise of abundance. So give, even if it's just $5 a day, and don't limit it to money. Give your knowledge, give your time, give your energy to help others. You'll be amazed how new opportunities, resources, and income streams start to show up in your life. That's the return on the generosity you plant. Lesson 2, a simple habit with extraordinary power. Gratitude in every moment. Gratitude is one of the highest vibrational frequencies you can live in. When you're grateful, you don't just feel happier, you become aligned with the frequency of abundance. You start attracting more good into your life. Remember, you don't need a lot to be rich because you're already rich in the most essential ways. The great scientist Albert Einstein once said, 100 times a day, I remind myself that my inner and outer life is based on the labors of other people, living and dead, and that I must exert myself in order to give in the same measure as I have received and am still receiving. That quote isn't just about gratitude. It's about responsibility and contribution. And that's the seed that multiplies what you receive. Whatever you're grateful for, you expand, you invite more of it. So start practicing gratitude daily, not just for the big wins, but for the small, simple things. The warm meal in front of you, the roof over your head, the job that sustains you, your health, the car that gets you where you need to go. This will shift the energy around your money. It changes what you attract. Feeling abundance from within is the strongest magnet for attracting prosperity on the outside. These two lessons, give first and live with gratitude, aren't just financial tactics. They're a way of being. They're universal principles that help you build a solid foundation for real sustainable wealth from the inside out. So now that you hold these keys in your hands, what will you do with your long-term vision of wealth and money? For me, wealth isn't just a number in a bank account, it's the freedom to live the life I truly want. It's having time for the people I love. It's the space to pursue my passion. And it's the ability to contribute to something greater than myself, like choosing to drive a reliable used truck instead of a flashy Porsche, and using the extra money to help fund a clean water project in Southeast Asia. That brings me peace. That feels rich. Looking poor, or more honestly, choosing to live humbly and without showing off, is a strategic decision. It's not about lack. It's about inner sufficiency. It's about investing in your future, in your values, in the person you're becoming. To reach that vision, I'm willing to walk the path of humility, mindful spending, deep gratitude, and generous giving, because I know these are the real keys to building sustainable wealth. From the inside out, from energy to form. So here's my question for you. Are you willing to trade a little flash today for real freedom tomorrow? Are you ready to build wealth that starts from within and radiates outward? If this message spoke to something in you, hit the like button and share this video with someone who's caught in the chase to look rich, or someone who's struggling under the pressure to keep up appearances. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next message. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, stay grounded, stay generous, and stay true to what really matters.